Donald Trump has declared war on mail-in voting. In an Oval Office meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, he vowed to sign an executive order banning it before the 2026 midterms. A move cheered by his allies, questioned by legal experts, and slammed by Democrats as an unconstitutional power grab.
We, as a Republican Party, are going to do everything possible that we get rid of mail-in ballots. We're going to start with an executive order that's being written right now by the best lawyers in the country to end mail-in ballots because they're corrupt. And you know that we're the only country in the world, I believe, I may be wrong, but just about the only country in the world that uses them because of what's happened. Massive fraud all over the place. The other thing we want changed are the machines. For all of the money they spend, it's approximately 10 times more expensive than paper ballots. And paper ballots are very sophisticated with the watermark paper and everything else. We would get secure elections. We'd get much faster results. The machines, I mean, they say we're going to have the results in 2 weeks. With paper ballots, you have the results that night. Most people, but most people, many countries use paper ballots. It's the most secure form.
For years, Trump has insisted without any evidence that postal ballots enable fraud. He claims Americans receive multiple ballots, that the system is corrupt, and that Democrats only win because of it. He has repeated this line since 2020, when mail-in ballots surged during the pandemic. Back then, nearly half the country voted by mail. Even in 2024, after his own victory, about a third of voters, almost 47 million, still relied on it. Election officials, however, say that the claims are false. Ballots carry barcodes, undergo verification, and audits confirm results. Trump's own cybersecurity chief in 2020 called that election the most secure in US history. There's one major problem with Trump's plan. The Constitution doesn't give the president control over elections. Article 1, Section 4 says the bar lies with state legislatures and Congress can step in if necessary. Legal scholars have called Trump's claim that states are merely agents of the federal government flat out wrong and dangerous. Election law experts warn that any executive order banning mail ballots would be struck down immediately in court. Lawsuits are already being prepared by civil rights groups and secretaries of state.
A movement to eliminate mail-in voting, but states administer elections, not federal authorities. So can you provide any more details about how the White House plans to eliminate that?
The White House continues to work on this, and when Congress comes back to Washington, I'm sure there will be many discussions with our friends on Capitol Hill and also our friends in state legislatures across the country to ensure that we're protecting the integrity of the vote for the American people. And I think Republicans generally, and the president generally, wants to make it easier for Americans to vote and harder for people to cheat in our elections. And it's quite mind-boggling that the Democrat Party could stand in opposition to common sense. He wants to ensure election integrity. There were great efforts that were made in 2024. I won't get ahead of myself for Hatch Act reasons to get ahead for the next election, but I can assure you this is a priority for the president.
Trump also argues that America is the only country using mail-in voting, which is factually incorrect. At least 34 nations from Canada and Germany to the UK and South Korea allow postal ballots in some form or the other. In fact, many democracies have used them for decades. Australia introduced postal voting more than a century ago. Behind the rhetoric is politics. Democrats rely on mail-in ballots more than Republicans, especially urban voters, the elderly, and military families abroad. Eliminating them would disproportionately hurt Democratic turnout. Republicans are being pushed to embrace early and absentee voting after falling behind Democrats in 2020. In 2024, Trump himself encouraged supporters to vote any way possible, including by mail. The push even carries foreign and historical twists. Trump says Russian President Vladimir Putin told him US elections were rigged by postal ballots. And he has falsely claimed that former President Jimmy Carter opposed vote by mail.
It's a fraud. If you have mail-in vote, even Jimmy Carter with this commission, they set it up. He said the one thing about mail-in voting, you will never have an honest election if you have mail-in. And it's time that the Republicans get tough and stop it because the Democrats want it. It's the only way they can get elected.
In reality, though, Carter urged expanding it during the pandemic, calling it essential to protect democracy. Trump has directed loyalists to reshape the playing field. He's pressed Texas and other red states to redraw congressional maps mid-decade, a step aimed at creating up to 5 more Republican House seats. He has ordered the Justice Department to probe Democratic fundraising giant Act Blue, while demanding voter files from states nationwide. Experts say it adds up to the most aggressive attempt by a sitting president to tilt a midterm before it even happens. Trump's threats go far beyond mail-in ballots. They signal an attempt to consolidate control over how Americans vote, something no president has ever done before. State officials, even Republicans, are warning against it, saying that the Constitution leaves elections in their hands. Advocacy groups have promised lawsuits if military families, disabled voters, or overseas Americans lose access to mail votes. Mail-in voting has been part of US elections since the Civil War. Millions of Americans still rely on it. Whether Trump can actually ban it is doubtful. Courts, Congress, and state governments all stand in the way.
Been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing.